And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Three Girls in Love channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today I want to talk with you guys about why you feel lonely as a girl, as a woman. This channel is for women, okay? But there are, of course, men watching because they want to understand how female nature works. And I'm going to share some thoughts with you about the loneliness of women. Let's start with the definitions, shall we? Let's start with the definition of masculinity and femininity. Masculinity and femininity in terms of women is masculinity being burdened and femininity being unburdened. Okay, so when a woman is masculine, the more masculine she becomes, she takes upon herself a lot of burden, a lot of crap, a lot of responsibilities. Now, people would say, oh, that's a good thing. No, it's absolutely horrific. And I'll explain to you why. Because when people are taking upon themselves responsibility as a woman, they're taking upon themselves the responsibility of the world. Why? Because women care. Women care about everything that happens or everything that is in their vicinity. Okay, so if they see desperation, if they see a need, if they see a problem in the news, on Facebook, on Instagram, wherever it is, they personalize it and it becomes theirs. Okay, it becomes their problem because they care. So as long as they put themselves in the situation of being in front of basically the events of the world, they're going to care, and they're going to care a lot. If they don't care, it's because they're at their max capacity. Because women who are feminine automatically care. This needs to be protected from the things of the world, the things that they cannot change, right? Because as a woman, you'll see all these problems and you won't be able to change them, and then you'll begin to believe that the world is a dark and dreary place. It is not. The world is absolutely fantastic, but the only things that you see are the negative things because those are the things that sell. Right? You've heard about that. The only news that sell are negative news. They put out positive stuff, it's nice and wonderful, but the stuff that sells is the negative stuff that infuses fear, that infuses negativity, that infuses a lot of bad emotions that you don't want. Why does it sell? Because you're attracted to it. You're like, oh my gosh, did that happen? And then you talk to your friends about it, right? And that's how basically the news and media grows bigger and larger all the time. This is also the same thing with gossip. What? Did that happen to that and that person? That's crazy. And then it's negativity, right? And then you funnel that onwards. But it's a burden because you personalize it and you bring it into your life. Don't worry about it. I'm going to talk about loneliness, but I'm explaining to you now in terms of burden, that women are taking upon themselves so much burden, which causes them to come to a point of maximum capacity in terms of their caring about other people. Okay, so the more masculine a woman becomes, meaning the more burden she takes on, all from the news, from negativity, from gossip, from also just basically people being negative, right? And also from having a job, or multiple jobs, or from having a business, or just rejection in general, or having, sexual partners that leave them, etc., etc. All of this creates baggage and creates burden for women, and it makes them more masculine over time. Unfortunately, masculine women also have an immediate need to feel feminine, which is why they use pills, happy pills very often. Right? To kind of like, I feel I need something because I feel like I'm dying inside. You are. Masculinity causes you to feel emotionally dead, and you feel that something is wrong with you. So you end up wanting to solve the problem with the quick fix, with happy pills or with There's a lot more of you guys that are using it than people believe. Okay? It's a lot of you. And you might be one of those that take them in secret. No one knows that you're taking those pills, but it's happening, right? For a lot of you. Or alcohol. Or cigarettes. Or whatever nasty addiction that you have in your life, or that other women have in their lives, that is causing them to become more burdened, not less. Right? A spike in femininity instead of constant femininity and being femininity all the time will cause you to decline in health. Right? Which will cause more problems into your life because you feel sick. You got to go to the doctor. Something's wrong with you, etc., etc., etc. Masculinity, welcome. It sucks. It's horrific. We don't want you guys to be masculine. I'm talking now from a man's perspective. If we desire you to become masculine, that's because of ignorance on the man's part. Oh, you woman, you should work. You should also take your part in the family finances. You should do this and that and the other. You should take care of the kids. Why did you not clean the house? Why did you not take care of the kids when he did this, that, and the other? Why did you da 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 da? That's men's ignorance talking. They don't know what you guys go through because of the intensity of your emotions, because of how much you care about other people, and you try to be superwoman for so many people until you're just completely exhausted, completely depleted, and you're so burdened you don't have capacity to even take care of yourself. Right? What happens? Well, you end up getting all these bad habits. You end up getting fat. You end up getting ugly. Uglier over time, right? You are your most precious person when you are in your teenage years and when you are in your early 20s. Because then it's basically the world is a carefree place. You're being hopefully been raised by parents who took care of you, who provided for you, who were there for you, etc. And then in your early 20s, you're going to college. Things are kind of provided for you. You know, yeah, you don't have money for everything that you want to buy, but it's kind of easy. Life is easy. You can choose to go to class or don't go to class, right? Like, the hard part of life starts once you start working, very often. Women don't want to work, so they continue their eternal student thing. What does this have to do with being lonely? Femininity is unburdened. Unburdened. Wow. Imagine if the world was filled with women who were unburdened by the cares of this world. What would happen if they were protected from the outside, in the sense of the negativity and the crap that goes on in the world, that they would personalize if it was in their vicinity, but if it's not in their vicinity, then it's more like out of sight, out of mind, right? So what would you do? What would happen naturally to you as a feminine woman if you did not get to your max capacity in every single aspect of life? You would run towards responsibilities that are in your vicinity because you care. Which means that your job would be to, of course, take care of yourself. That, you want to take care of yourself because you want to fit in, but you also, you care about yourself. And you have capacity to take care of yourself, so you would take care of yourself a bit more. But women are so other people centric, which is great if they're feminine, right? That they would care so much about the needs of others, the needs of those in their vicinity, that they would actually be there for other people. They would see their needs and then they'd come to the rescue. And they'd take care of them, and they'd support them, and they'd nurture them, and they'd listen to them, and then they'd accept them and be loving towards them, etc., etc. This is what feminine women do naturally. And those that are feminine and remain in their femininity throughout their lives, even though very often they're almost at their max capacity, if they have some form of capacity, they will always think about other people first. This is what's beautiful once you begin to see what women are doing in this world. It's amazing. Women are already perfect. You got to realize that. Doesn't look like it, does it? But women are already perfect. Just in the same way that men, if they care, they're also perfect in many aspects. And I don't want to spend time explaining all that stuff when it comes to men, because it's different when it comes to men, because they don't care. And because they don't care, they can go for a long time without, not being perfect, if that makes sense, right? But if you see kids, basically, that are fulfilled emotionally when they're kids, both genders are feminine during that time frame because we have the exact same amount of testosterone levels. You'll see that boys and girls that are emotionally fulfilled, they are amazing. It's only when kids are emotionally unfulfilled that they suck, that they begin to act up, that they begin to yell, cry, scream, and be disobedient, if that makes sense. That's parents' fault, right? Or in other words, the man's fault. But explaining it from the perspective of women are perfect in the sense that if they were allowed to be unburdened, they would seek to immediately take care of the needs of others. What happens when you take care of the needs of others? What happens when you do good to others? Naturally. And you do it automatically because that's your nature. Good things naturally come back to you, right? That's how the universe was designed. You do good things to others, guess what? They come back and do good things to you. You alleviate the needs of others, they'll alleviate your needs, right? That's like the automatic karma, win-win situation going on every day. The problem comes when women are at their max capacity. What happens when they're at their max capacity? They don't focus on other people because their emotions are so intense about their own problems and their own issues that they only strive to alleviate themselves of their own burdens. Okay? So a woman alleviating her own burdens, what's going to happen? It's going to look like, why is she so negative? Why is she so toxic? Why does she only care about herself? Why does she only do this, that, and the other all the time? You know why she's getting rid of all those burdens? Or why you are getting rid of all those burdens? It's because you inherently know that the only way that you're going to be able to long-term consistently be able to take care of others is if you alleviate yourself of burdens. Right? You inherently know this. So you do this automatically, but when women do this and people look at them, they're like, oh, she's so mean. She's so selfish. She's so this, that, and the other. It's not her fault. She's at her max capacity, man. She doesn't have capacity for your crap. And I'm talking now to women and men now. Why are women lonely? There are so many women in the world, right? And women need women. But where are all the women? Where are all the women? Because they're being men, right? We live in the man's world, and women are being told that they should become men, basically. Be disciplined, be focused, go to school, go to college, go get a job, have a career. And then, if you're a good girl, then you'll also get married. And you'll have a job at the same time as you're married. And then you need to have kids. Why don't you have kids yet? Oh my gosh, you don't have kids. And then you need to have kids. And be a good girl. And make sure that you don't do this and don't do that and don't do this. But also, be a superwoman. Because your kids need you. Why aren't you taking care of your kids properly? Why are you yelling at your kids? Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? You understand, the world is telling women to be masculine. Discipline yourself. Focus. Do the right thing. Women would naturally do the right thing if they were unburdened. Naturally. But guess what? They're being told to be masculine when their inherent nature is to be feminine. And they want to be feminine. They want to be unburdened, carefree, and not have to worry about anything that is outside of their jurisdiction or their responsibilities. They're not supposed to take care of that crap. Men are. We have different responsibilities. We have different roles. Why are women supposed to take care of kids? Supposed to. is because they naturally gravitate towards it. You put a man together with kids, he's not going to care about the kids, right? He's got other stuff to do. Or he'll be bored with the kids. And do you understand what I mean? Like, yes, you have guys who are dads who love spending time with their kids because they're gone most of the day. So when they have a chance to be with their kids, they actually enjoy being with their kids. But if you put a man and you put him with kids all of the time, all day, every day, then he's going to become burdened. He's not going to care about the kids anymore. And it's going to be like, he's going to yell at them. He's going to be burdened. But in the aspect of not being in his nature, in his proper role, and not having capacity to do what women do. Women do that so much better than men ever could. Okay? Not only this, but women also weren't designed to take care of kids by themselves. Right? Women were designed to be with other women. So let me get into the aspect that I was going to talk about, which is loneliness. Why are women lonely? Well, let's understand this. If you're burdened as a woman, you're masculine, right? What are you going to attract? You're going to attract women that are at your level. Why? Because that's what you're comfortable with, right? Birds of a feather flock together. What does that saying mean? It means that you're going to have people that are like you around you. Opposites attract, but that comes to attraction. And to sexuality, right? So if you were a lesbian, you'd be attracted to the opposite, aspect of femininity. You'd be attracted to a masculine woman if you're feminine. If you're masculine, you'll be attracted to a feminine woman. That's why you always have the difference between a butch one and a non-butch one, right? But if you're straight, you'll always have the attraction towards the opposite gender, meaning if you're feminine, then you would want a masculine man. If you're a masculine woman, you'd want a feminine man. Opposites attract, but birds of a feather flock together in the sense that you want friends, you want people in your vicinity that are like you. So let's understand that for a second. If you're masculine, you're going to want masculine friends, but you don't want masculine friends. And I'll explain why in a second. You'll have masculine friends, but those friends are going to be burdened. Right? You're burdened. You're going to attract burdened women into your life. Not because feminine women are not, you don't want feminine women into your life, and maybe they're, half and half feminine, right? The more masculine you are, the more you're going to attract masculine women. Very masculine women. If you're half and half, you're going to attract half and half. If you're feminine, you're going to attract feminine women into your life. Which of those relationships do you think function the best? After everything that I've explained to you, feminine relationships. When women are feminine, they have capacity for each other. Right? Until they begin to burden each other with their own problems. Because there's no women that don't have problems. You notice that? All women are masculine until someone else takes the blame. All women become masculine until someone takes the blame. If they're feminine and someone else takes the blame, a Jesus, if you will. I'm not talking religiously, but I'm talking from the aspect of a leader who takes the blame for everything that goes wrong in their relationship, but also in her relationships. Becomes easier, doesn't it? I'll explain this again in the end of the video. But So you've got feminine women who get along wonderfully as long as they're going in the same direction. Why do they have to go in the same direction? Because if they disagree on something, what's going to happen? They're going to disagree. And they're going to be upset with each other. And then until they figure out a way to solve it, which is going to take one of them being the bigger person, which is very difficult for femininity, because very often if one of the women blames the other, then she's going to naturally escalate the situation because she doesn't feel it's right that the other person is blaming her. So she's going to blame back. Why are you blaming me? And then the other person is going to be escalating the situation even more. And then they escalate, and then eventually guess what? They don't want to spend time together anymore. And they're beginning to look for other friends. Are there other people that I can hang out with? Because that one is so difficult. It's so hard to be with her, right? And the more issues, the more problems they get as women, the harder it is. If they go in the same direction, though, they have the same values, the same belief system, the same pretty much everything, and if they actually are like each other, they're going to be friends forever, right? Until one of them gets a boyfriend. Oh, my best friend got a boyfriend, and now she doesn't want to spend time with me anymore. Right? Has that happened to you before? Happens to a lot of you. And when that happens, you now feel lonely, left behind, right? Because suddenly your best friend is with someone else, and that guy wants to spend a lot of time with her, and she wants to spend a lot of time with him because they're in love in their emotional 3-month syndrome thing. Don't worry about it, right? Because they're going to break up anyway in 3 months' time, and then she's going to be back to you, and I'm so sorry I left you behind, and no, boo, 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 boo. And then you guys give each other hugs and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of ups and downs because you guys are ups and downs, right? It becomes a little bit better when you move in with each other because then you sync. You notice that in college dorm rooms, you'll find out that the women very often sync with each other in the room when it comes to their reproductive cycle. Amazing. The science behind all of this, the voodoo. It's amazing. Okay, so if you are feminine, you won't be lonely. You'll have tons of friends because people love being around you. It's amazing. You're so nice. You're so wonderful. And you'll attract people that are so nice and so wonderful. And and that's how it is. And that's how women function at their best, optimal selves, basically in their late teenage years and in their 20s, their early 20s. Now they start jobs. They're going to start departing from each other a little bit at a time. Some women manage to catch up with each other, okay? Fortunately, we've got the internet, we've got all of that. But before, like very often, women would get married and then they would start a completely different trajectory when it came to belief system and values. We don't see that as much these days, because that was in the past when women would get married at a very early age and they wouldn't really, unless they both married, they wouldn't be able to keep up with each other and they wouldn't be able to relate on the same level as before. But this day and age, it's not really marriage that happens, even though kind of, because you got the living together. It's kind of like you're getting married. Once one woman starts living with the guy, then she kind of falls out in terms with her friend. But they have to catch up with each other. But very often they don't have time to catch up with each other because of all of the demands of the world. With their job, with their studies, with this, and that, and the other. I'm so sorry, I haven't called you. It's been a week since we've spent time together. And instead of having femininity be your 80%, right? That's how it was in your early years. When you went to school, you spent most of the time with your friends all day long, and then in recess, all the time. And then when you went home from school, guess who you spent time with? Most of the time was with your friends, on the phone, on Instagram, on whatever it was, right? You're spending so much time with femininity during that time frame. You're unburdened because other people are taking care of you, etc., etc. That disappears, doesn't it? And once that disappears, it goes downhill from there. You still have those friends in your teenage years, in your 20s, but it becomes harder and harder to keep up with each other and to keep your friends. It's so hard. And you've gotten more and more and more and more masculine over time. So you become burdened. What happens when you're burdened as a woman and you have friends? First of all, they're going to reject you all the time. Why? Because they're trying to be accepted and they're trying to alleviate themselves of burdens. Let me explain a scenario of you being rejected by a woman who's not even trying to reject you. You have a masculine friend, you're also masculine, and then you meet up to have a lunch date. Great, okay, so you're together. What's going to happen if one of them has a lot of negativity, maybe about politics or maybe about whatever it is? This is her time to vent, right? Because if she doesn't have a man at home who takes her crap and who takes her venting, and most women don't, they're either single or, and they're trying to vent all their crap on people, and people don't want to receive their crap. So basically they end up becoming very lonely. So they get cats or dogs, very often cats, right? And then you've got so you're at this lunch date with this masculine woman. This masculine woman is trying to vent, so she talks a lot. Now you would think that that's feminine. In many aspects it is. But if it was positivity, and if it was, this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 and boo, 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 then that would be feminine if they're not talking about negative stuff. Femininity is positivity. Femininity is unburdened, and everything's wonderful, and life is great, and da-da-da-da-da. But because women are masculine, for them to fake their negativity and all the crap that's happening in their lives, that would take masculinity to put on the facade and to put on the, I'm all positive and everything's wonderful. Because it's not, right? Most of the time it's not. So women are using discipline, and that's an extra burden on top of the crap that they already have to spend time with other people. Oh my gosh. So it's kind of like an added burden to them spending time together. So it comes to a point where women don't want to spend time with other women. Although they need the estrogen. They actually have an emotional need to be with other women 80% of the time, to return back to their childhood where they basically did spend 80% of their time with their friends. Not anymore. Women are drowning in masculinity and in lack of capacity and in lack of acceptance. They're being rejected by each other because of different value systems, different beliefs, because very often the married women and women that are living together with their partners, and especially if they have kids, they just have a different mindset than each other. They just think differently if one woman is single and the other one is married. They just we don't relate. There's just nothing to talk about because her scenario is completely different than mine. So, but couldn't then married women who have kids spend time together? They could, but you know what happens when they do that? Very often, they're so burdened taking care of their kids when they're spending time together, and they don't have time to get together without the kids. Unless the man steps up and basically takes over the female role of taking care of the kids, or the women alleviate their burden by putting their kids in school and in kindergarten and with their babysitters so that they can relax and go with their friends to go and get a spa or a massage or a lunch date or the movies, etc. Who loses then? The kids. The kids lose because the kids were supposed to be spending time with their mothers, and their mothers are gone all the time. So they're spending time with the teachers and the babysitters and the caretakers. This is why the world becomes warped. And women are so lonely because they feel bad about leaving their kids behind that they eventually end up not doing that. They eventually end up being with their kids when they're not at work. When they're not at work, then they stay with their kids because they're good women and they're feminine and they want to be with their kids, and it's just wrong to leave them so much of the time when, we don't have time for each other. Loneliness. That's the result. The more masculine we make women, the worse and more dreary this world is going to become. And the more women are going to want free stuff. Women will always want free stuff, right? And because they'll always want free stuff, if they're single or by themselves or etc., they'll always want to vote for more government programs, more free stuff, because it's not free stuff. You have to pay for it with taxes. So, and you end up becoming more and more burdened because the government has more and more control. And it's more and more difficult for you to survive on the income that you have because inflation is killing you. That's a tax. And because of all of the other taxes and all the prices are going up. Have you noticed that? That's because of big government. It's the only reason. So I'm just explaining to you that women are shooting themselves in the foot very often by voting for socialistic measures because it makes them have less capacity, not more. They believe that they're getting free stuff, but the free stuff that they're getting is more expensive than if it was privatized. I'm just explaining so many different aspects of why you're lonely. This is why you're lonely. Imagine if you had two best friends and they were in the exact same scenario as you. They have the exact same value systems, exact same beliefs in terms of religion, in terms of politics. Imagine if you could find the unicorns of the feminine women that you want to spend time with, right? And yet they're married to someone else. So you believe that their marriage is so much better than yours, and then you compare and you're like, oh wow, we all have problems. We all have problems with our relationships, so you get together and you basically start bantering and complaining about your husbands. Great, right? The only problem there is that at some point in time, you kind of get fed up with that, and then you notice that, but they're doing something different. I don't like what they're doing. And when I talk about what we're doing, you're talking about you and your husband, then I become rejected. And they reject me because we're walking in opposite directions. We're not doing the same things. We don't believe the same things. We don't believe the same things about food. We don't believe the same things about this. We don't believe the same things about this. And it becomes a burden to basically try to live according to everyone's belief system and value system. It's a burden on top of all of the other crap and burdens that women have. Eventually, women are going to just simply getting rid of friends because they don't have capacity for them anymore. What's the solution? What is the solution? I'll tell you, I have the solution. We have the solution and had the solution on this channel from the very beginning. It's 3 Girls in Love. What is screwing women over is monogamy. And I'll explain. I always say women need women, but women are not getting women these days because women are becoming more and more men. The more men they become, the less they'll have their social circle, the less accepted they'll feel, the less other people like them they're gonna have, and the more they're gonna go in their different directions. 3 Girls in Love solves all of that. 3 Girls in Love is a system where you have 1 man and 3 women. The 3 women are best friends forever. That's their goal. That's their objective. They're feminine just as they were in their teenage years, and we pretty much want them to remain in the same state as they were when they were perfect, when they were amazing. Okay? Remain a late teenager. Remain in your early 20s forever. No cares, no problems, and if there are problems, we've got 3 brains plus the man to figure it out. And we'll figure it out quickly, right? And there's 3 mothers to take care of the kids once they come along. 3 mothers. None of them have to be super women. They do it naturally, automatically, running towards responsibilities and enjoying their family. Okay, so you might say now, oh my gosh, this can't be the solution because women can't get along because they blame each other and women are going to feel left behind and it's not comfortable when the husband is sleeping with another one and he's not sleeping with me. Well, let me explain how that's solved in 3 Girls in Love because that's the only objection women have. It's the sexuality, right? It's the fact that they have to share a man and that being unequal because the man now gets to, sleep around while the women can't. Let me just briefly explain that masculinity is polygamous. Polygamous, right, means many partners, while femininity is monogamous. So if a woman is extremely masculine, or just masculine in general, she'll want several partners. But several partners of the opposite gender. Okay? If she's feminine, she would only want one amazing guy because she wants to serve him. I just want one. That's femininity. Amazing. Wonderful. That's how it's supposed to be, right? But she needs 2 other partners that are like her, that are going in the same direction as her, that she can feel accepted and loved by and feel emotional support and caring from forever. Because the man is not going to be around. Have you noticed that? Men who are successful don't have time for their women. And the women want the man to spend time with her, right? Give me attention. I want attention. I want you to be with me all of the time. Because she's designed for Three Girls in Love. That's her universal, eternal design from the very beginning. She's supposed to be a social creature. So she's supposed to have someone with her. And since her man is her best friend, because that's what happens in monogamy, she wants him around. And then when he is around, he wants sexual activities. Because that's how he's designed. But the woman is like, I just want to be with you. Like, I don't want to do that. Because the more feminine he is, more masculine she is. Remember, she's attracted to the opposite. The more feminine he is, the more sexual he's going to be. And the less attracted to him she's going to be. So there's gonna be like this tension going on, because the man wants, when he's with her, he wants to have sex, and and then he has to basically settle to, I guess, we're just gonna be lesbian friends then. That's not what she had in mind, because she loses attraction for him, but at least we're friends. And that's not what he had in mind. So you end up getting this miscommunication, but it's not a miscommunication. It's simply their natures clashing. As long as she's alone. If there were three, completely different scenario. This is what the scenario would be. You've got the three girls. They spend so much time together throughout the entire day. They've enjoyed each other's company. They've taken care of the kids. They've done the housework that was necessary. And there's not much to do. You don't even have to hire outside help. There's not much to do because you did it yesterday. And it's basically just because there's order in the home, because there's three. And everyone is doing their fair share because they want to make sure that everyone's happy and that everyone's, taken care of, and they solve the immediate needs of everyone around them. Why? Because they're feminine. Remember what I said in the beginning? Femininity is carefree, no responsibilities, no burdens, but once that environment is in place, then they run towards responsibility. They run towards alleviating the needs of others, and they want it to be nice and clean and wonderful around them. They love to make food if they made it with other people, with their best friends. Women love, should we get together and make some taco? Oh, that'd be fun. Imagine if you could have that environment every day. And then, on occasions, you would go to restaurants and you'd order out or whatever it is. But most of the time, women don't mind cooking, as long as they don't have to slave away and do it 5 times a day, every day for the rest of their lives. Then it sucks, because it's lonely. That's the difference. Three Girls in Love solves that beautifully. They're at home, taking care of their responsibilities, taking care of the kids, but most importantly, living luxuriously in such a way that they have the tools, they have the dishwasher, they have all this stuff. It's not old school, so they can actually pay for inventions that make their work at home easier to handle, so that they can focus more on fun, right? They tell their man, go and make that dough, go and make that money, get the best and newest inventions at all times, because we want to live in luxury, and we deserve it in many aspects, right? Because women deserve free stuff. And the man goes out there and he's motivated outside his brain to solve the problems of the masses in order for him to get tons of money, in order for him to get the women the best things that is possible for them to enjoy their lives. And they have capacity to eat healthy. They don't have to feed their kids crap, McDonald's and all that stuff. They can make stuff from scratch with the best possible fruits and vegetables that they grow from their own gardens. Why? Because they've got the money to do it. And they've got the time to actually study it out, how to do it. Right? And they basically get to do the stuff that they've always wanted to do. And now they have the opportunity. And they've got all the time in the world. They don't have to worry about going to work. They don't have to worry about finances. They don't have to worry about any other unnecessary crap going on in the world, because out of sight, out of mind. Women stay away. I would say they probably stay away from social media and Three Girls in Love because they don't want the negativity. They bring in the negativity in the home, it stays in the home, and then they have to talk about it. Sometimes, obviously, if there's, big problems in the world happening, then women maybe would get a bit more involved and, talk to their husband about it, and what is the solution that we can do. But the beautiful aspect of Three Girls in Love, I believe, is that women won't want all the unnecessary problems. They'll want to take care of their own problems instead. Because that's more effective and it's more useful, right? From a rational standpoint, it's more useful to take care of stuff that it's in your immediate vicinity and alleviate the needs of others from those that are around you than focus on things that you can't really solve, that you can't really do anything about because it's so big. It's the world stuff, right? Again, loneliness. Why are women lonely? Because they're going in the opposite directions. In Three Girls in Love, it solves this problem by them spending time together with people that are absolutely going in the same direction. Why? What if the man wants to move, right? Or they make a family decision to move. Who are they leaving behind? No one. They're all going. What if they go to, the husband says, oh, let's go on a family vacation. Okay, let's go. We go to Bali, or we go to the Seychelles, or whatever, Barbados, and they travel. Who's being left behind with their, disgusting husband, and he can't provide, and my friend just went to Barbados. Why can't we have a vacation, right? In Three Girls in Love, best friends forever, no one's being left behind. No one's comparing themselves to other families. No one's keeping up with the Joneses. They might sometimes, but then they collaborate with the man of, hey, could we get the same thing that this family has? And then the man would go out and he'd get it, right? Instead of keeping up with the Joneses in monogamy, where it's impossible to keep up with the Joneses because everyone has a facade on and everyone's fake. You notice that? So, the solution is Three Girls in Love. And in the bedroom, just so you understand, when the man, this is not even the bedroom, this can be in the kitchen. When the man comes home and he focuses on one woman, because how can a man give 3 kisses at the same time? He can't, right? So he'll do one at a time. And for it to be equal, this is what happens. He focuses on one woman, the other 2 have each other. They're not being left behind. That's why it's important that it's not 2 women, it's 3, right? So that they're not left behind. Ever. They're always together, equal. They have security. They know they're going to get everything that they need, etc., etc. And they're never, ever lonely for the rest of their lives. They're going to have each other. They're going to have depth. They're going to have so much love for each other, so much caring for each other, so much acceptance of each other, so much emotions with each other, all of the past that they've had together. And anytime there's a tiff, anytime that there's difficulties, anytime that there's disharmony, because they're not 2, they're 3. Remember that? If they were 2, it would be difficult because they'd get into arguments and they would be feminine and they would escalate. Be a problem. If they're 3 and they live in the same home, taking care of the same things, one woman gets a small tiff with the other one. I don't like it when she does this. She's annoying when she does this, that, and the other. It happens, right? You have the third one that is an objective listener in many aspects. If she takes sides, that becomes a problem, right? But then the one who's being left behind, she has the man. Now the man is needed to solve the problem. But very often, because he needs to take the blame, he needs to take the full blame for everything that goes wrong. But very often, it's not going to happen like that. Very often, it's going to be absolutely beautiful the way it works by the objective one coming in and solving the problem and helping them to see that, oh, remember guys, it's his fault. He's the one that has the issue. He's the one that has the problem. We need to blame him. This is how we're going to solve this problem. I hope you've learned a lot from this video. This is the Three Girls in Love channel. My name is Joseph Darling. I will see you in the next one.